With the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine now in the books, should the New England Patriots still believe that Will Campbell is a viable option at tackle in the 2025 NFL Draft? Stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful. Thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. I'm your host, Mike Debate, and I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country, so reach out to me. Let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. While you're out there showing some love to Locked On Patriots social media style, follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And you can always find me where the skies are blue on Blue Sky at MDABATENFL.bsky.social. And Pats fans, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Pats fans, the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine is now in the books. And here on Locked On Patriots this week, we find ourselves in a unique position to be able to not only bring you some of the highlights from the Combine, but also incorporate that into our favorite segment here on Locked On Patriots, and that is Mock Draft Monday. 3 amazing mock drafts. We are honored to share these today, and I say we because joining me here today, as he does each and every Mock Draft Monday, the man who is not only contractually obligated to be here each and every Monday, but even if he wasn't, we would drag him out from wherever he was and bring him here because no one brings the wisdom, the counsel, the wit, and the grit like my guest today. My good friend, the Count of Murphy Fisto himself, the legendary Thomas Murphy. Thank you for coming to me in friendship today, Don Murph.
Oh, my pleasure, Michael. My pleasure. Man, this is always the best time of the year when we start breaking down your mocks and seeing what you want the Patriots to do, what you think that they should be able to do. We're musing. We're musing the draft.
Absolutely. We are musing the draft. I like that. And I think we need to get back to that because Murph and I always said that we never ever mock the draft. We do not disparage or make fun of the draft in any ways. What we do is we use your great work as a muse for what the draft should be. So in that case, Murph, I think we should dive right in and I think we should muse the draft because not only does this first draft that we have here today to critique and grade give us a great cross-section of potential Patriots draft targets, but it also, I think, ties into maybe the news of the week for the New England Patriots. The gentleman whose work we're going to be sharing in just a moment may have made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and that is our good friend, a longtime everydayer of Locked On Patriots, Bob, the fantasy godfather. And Bob's been submitting mock drafts to us, Murph, since we've started here on Locked On Patriots doing this. And I think Bob hit some really interesting notes here.
Yep.
Without further ado, let's take a look at it. Folks, for the benefit of those of you who are not viewing on YouTube and are listening to this podcast, Bob has the Patriots at number 4, taking LSU tackle Will Campbell. And we're going to get into Will in just a moment, folks. I know Murph is chomping at the bit to talk about this subject, and we are absolutely going to do that. But once again, for the benefit of those listening, I want to make sure that everyone has a clear picture as to what Bob's draft entails. In the second round at number 38, Ohio State edge rusher Jack Sawyer, who had an interesting week in Indianapolis. He gets the choice for the New England Patriots. Help bolster that edge rush a little bit. Pats need some serious help there. Number 69 in round 3, another intriguing tackle prospect, Wyatt Millam out of West Virginia. We've seen him pop up on a lot of boards for the New England Patriots. Maybe he might be the answer to what the Patriots are looking for at the tackle position, maybe as a swing option. Who knows? In the third round, continuing at number 77, the Patriots take a running back, and they take one of the better ones in this draft class, someone who I believe had a very good week down in Indy, and that is Quinshon Judkins out of Ohio State. This pick, I think, was a steal where Bob was able to pick him up. I don't believe he'll still be there in the third round, but not a bad haul here so far for Bob. Number 105 in round 4, Kentucky defensive lineman Deion Walker. At number 145 in the 5th round, Patriots finally dip into the wide receiver pool, getting Pat Bryant out of Illinois. Patriots picking up some tight endage. Hi, Claire, out at number 219. Syracuse's own Oronde Gadsden II. Patriots going to Rutgers and bringing back a little bit of that Rutgers Belichickian flavor at tackle, really kind of anchoring, I think, this position, solidifying it, picking up Holland Pierce. And of course, rounding it all out in round 7 at pick number 240, Patriots get some much needed help at the safety position. Malachi Moore comes in out of the University of Alabama. Now, Murph, we'll get into the picks and we'll talk about what we believe are some of our diamond in the rough picks here, interesting ones, but we're going to start with the pick of the day. And coming into this week's Combine, Murph, Pats fans were very intrigued by Will Campbell, the
Yep.
tackle out of LSU. By consensus, he's one of the top names on the board. I don't think anything that happened over the week will take him out of that running as being one of the top tackle prospects in this draft, but everyone was concerned about measurements and about his arm length.
Yep.
We heard rumors scattered throughout the week on what these measurements would indeed say, but ultimately Campbell comes in at 32 and 5/8 inches. That is a little bit below what we would call the equator when it comes to tackle options in the NFL. It would put him in the lower echelon. Because of that, his wingspan, measuring in at 77 to 3/8 inches, would be the shortest of any offensive tackle in the league. So
Right.
a lot of people are looking at Will right now as potentially an outlier at the tackle position. Now, we heard all week long that the Pats were very much interested in Will Campbell, and a few national pundits even still believe he will be the player taken at number 4 if the Patriots choose to remain there. You see things us mere mortals don't see, my friend. So when you look at Will Campbell, taking under account the measurements, but also his resume at LSU, should the Patriots still be interested in taking Will Campbell that high in this NFL draft?
No, no, no. I've been on this since the get-go, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But no, the measurements they mean something. They don't mean everything. That's not what I'm getting at. I just think that there's another tackle in this draft class that is better than him. All right, that's it, plain and simple. I will not be upset if they end up with Will Campbell. I think he can play the tackle position. Um, how well that God, man, it'd just be so much happier if Dante Scarnecchio was in the building full time. But no, Will's a fine prospect. I just can't see it at number 4.
Obviously, the big question now is arm length. And
Yep.
in your estimation, because of the position that you've played, because of your knowledge about offensive linemen and what it means, what is the disadvantage of having someone like a Will Campbell who does have a great deal of talent, like you said, but comes up short when it comes to the wingspan? What's the biggest reason why he may have fallen off of the Patriots' radar this weekend?
Um, that's a great question. His punch isn't what you would want it from somebody being taken that high. I believe that the scheme that he ran down there, it keeps him in the mix here, but but I I honestly I'm looking at this from a really biased standpoint. I'm really sorry, folks. I tend to do this. I fall in love with people, and it helps me to fall out of love with other people. I'm really not sure, but except for the measurables, why the Patriots would back off of this, and where he might end up going 4, 5, 6, depending on how the board falls. I can't see the measurables taking him off. I can't see his performance on the field taking him off the board. So no, I still believe that he's on the board. The only thing is, I think that they'd be much better off with the other option here at number 4.
Fair enough.
And we are. We're gonna get into. I have nothing against Will Campbell. If Will Campbell ends up being the Patriots selection at number 4, cool. I've got a I do believe he's a left tackle. I do believe that he's going to play in this league for a very long time. And like I said before, man, there's no Joe Alt in this draft.
All right.
All right,
Absolutely.
it's just not there.
And before we move on from this subject, I do think it's worth pointing out an interesting tidbit that I was able to pull for today's show. And I want to give a tip of the cap to our good friends over at Pat's Pulpit, who were the ones who originated this point. So I want to give credit where credit is due. One thing that I think is worth pointing out with the measurements, almost every lineman measured at the Combine this week came in a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch shorter than they did at both the Senior Bowl and the
Right.
Shrine Bowl. So something to monitor there, folks. I'm not saying it's going to make a huge difference, but keep a very sharp eye on the measurements for Will Campbell when it comes to his pro day. That's the
Yeah.
measurement that I think is
All
going
I
to be
can
the one
say
that
to
sticks
Will
with him.
is just get a little longer and make everybody happy. But no, at the end of it, I'd be happy. I wouldn't be throwing the television through the wall if Will Campbell ended up being the Patriots' first pick in the draft.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of Patriots fans would. Look, Murph, we've said before, we believe it's the biggest need on the team.
Yeah.
And if you believe that you have a generational talent that you can mold into the type of guy that's going to keep Drake May comfortable and upright for the foreseeable future, you grab that with both hands every opportunity. That's going to be the question that the Patriots have to answer, folks. Is Will Campbell and the 32 and 5/8 inch arms, but the great resume that he has
Yep.
enough to warrant his pick either at number 4 or to trade down a little bit if he's
Right.
starting to slip throughout the boards? So excellent point, Murph. But moving on, the Godfather definitely did have another few
Yeah.
intriguing options. And the one that I want to talk about is the one that he snagged at number 38 in the second round. Ohio State edge rusher Jack Sawyer. Now, Sawyer comes in with the reputation of being a Mike Vrabel guy.
Yep.
He's that type of no nonsense, head down, grit defender that I know Mike would love to employ. He's an Ohio State guy, so Mike's
Yep.
automatically going to love this guy. He did have a little bit of a questionable appearance at the combine, if I'm being extremely honest.
Yeah.
Lost his footing a couple of times during the on-field drills. He didn't run the 40, or he perform in any other the individual testing
Right.
workouts. Maybe he's protecting himself. Maybe he's saving it for the pro day. These guys have the options to do it. But the one thing that I loved about Jack Sawyer, and that I think maybe saved his week, is while he was progressing through his drills, he was pulled over aside by a few coaches and was asked to model how that drill was carried out to some of the other prospects that were out there on the field. That says to me an awful lot. If you're being used as a model, as an example during the combine, you know you're
Right.
doing something right. If he's available at number 38, I do think the Patriots are giving him a look here.
Yeah, I agree. There's some drawbacks with Sawyer. His bend isn't fantastic. He's not the quickest guy off the ball. Athletically, I think he's an average Joe.
Hmm,
Okay, he's an average. I think he's going to come
I'd
in.
say that's
He could
fair.
play. He could play in base, and he's a good run stopper. The second round, I think it might be a little early.
Overall, I think we've started off with a talent-rich and very savvy draft
Yep.
from Bob, our fantasy godfather. Again, you play the ball as it lies, Bob, and I think you've knocked it out of the park on more than one occasions. Murph, what say you? How do you grade the Godfather's draft here?
B plus. This is a
Yeah.
B plus draft. The only reason that I'm giving it a B plus and not an A minus is don't bring me Syracuse, guys. Don't bring me Syracuse, guys. Don't do it. I'm a
Yeah.
UConn guy. Don't bring
Yeah,
Syracuse.
you want some UConn guys mixed in there as well. I'm going to give this one an A minus. The reason being is
There you
that
go.
I still think Campbell brings so much to the table, and I think
Yeah.
this kid could be a very good left tackle here in New England. I actually happen to agree with Murph, though I do think there is one option that would be a better one. But if you're going to bring me this as the centerpiece of your draft, considering how some of the skill positions performed over the
Right.
week, and we're going to get into that as well. Sometimes you take the surefire bet, and I think Campbell is a surefire bet. And I'm a little higher on Sawyer than most because I love the wit and the grit that he brings to the football field, and I think Mike Vrabel would have a ball
No
coaching this
problem.
guy.
Yep.
So, bottom line, Godfather, we appreciate everything that you have done. Thank you for coming to us in friendship, and we definitely hope that this is not the last submission from Bob the Fantasy Godfather
No, it
for
won't
the
be.
year here in 2025. But Murph, we're about to make your day because if there is a player on this board that Murph has coveted more than Will Campbell at the tackle position, it's the gentleman that's going to lead off this next mock draft. I'm not going to step on his toes. I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to let Murph kick this off when we return and we bring you our second mock draft here on Mock Draft Monday when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit fanduel.com to join today. That's fanduel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. That's fans. Thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots. It is Mock Draft Monday, and if it's Mock Draft Monday, there's no one else that could take this ride with me other than the man that Mock Draft Mondays were created for right here on Locked On Patriots, my good friend, the legend himself, Thomas Murphy. Murph, in the previous segment, we talked about the tackle position, something you know very well. We all know it is either the Patriots' biggest need or, at the very least, one of their biggest needs.
Right.
Bob, the fantasy godfather in our previous mock draft, had the Patriots taking Will Campbell out of LSU. We talked about the arm length measurements, the concerns, the pros and the cons. We still believe it to be a good pick, but there's someone else out there that you believe might be a better fit for the Patriots at that position. And of course, in true fashion, it took one of our everydayers to bring you the gift you've been waiting for since Mock Draft Monday opened its doors a couple of weeks ago. Jason Sullivan, our good friend Sully, who continues to be a most valued everydayer, a Mock Draft Monday all-star,
Sully
delivered Mock Draft Murph that I'm going to give you the pleasure of announcing the first pick. So without further ado, my friend, have at it. Who have the New England Patriots selected in Sully's first submission here on Mock Draft Monday in 2025?
With the fourth pick in the NFL draft, with the NFL Sully draft, they select Kelvin Banks Jr. Kelvin Banks is my draft crush this year at the top of the draft, and there have been some questions about him, like arm length, and well, he ended up measuring in at 33-inch arms, which is it hits everybody's threshold. His footwork is fantastic. He tested really well. He ran what some people would consider a slow 40, 5.16, but he had a fantastic split at 1.79 at the 10 yards and 10-yard spot. He had a 32-inch vertical. That's fantastic. That's a fantastic number for a man his size, and he moved really, really well. I went back and I watched, his workout 2 or 3 times, looking for reasons to doubt myself, and I didn't find any. I really didn't find any. Banks is the pick. Banks is the best offensive tackle in this draft. He's going to be a left tackle. He's going to be a left tackle in this league for 10 years.
I cannot in good faith disagree with anything that you said. This kid is one of those game-changing type prospects,
Yep.
and I do think he'd be a hand-in-glove fit here in New England without any stretch of the imagination. Now, I know that Banks is not someone that normally pops up at number 4 on draft
No.
boards. If the New England Patriots have coveted him, do you believe that there is a trade to be made where maybe you can move down a few pieces to still pick him up? Or would you not take that chance? Do you just take him at 4 because he's the guy you want?
Depending how the board falls, there's a chance that you could grab him at 8,
Mhm.
and but he's not going to fall far out of the top 10. He's just not. The position is too important. This man started 42 straight games at left tackle.
Mhm.
All right, he's a left tackle. All right, there's going to be no reason to move him into guard. You see the market out there for left tackles in free agency. It just
Absolutely.
doesn't open up. All right, and if you want guys that are going to make an impact at this position, you have to take them early. You really do. Because as much as I love Rutgers guys who are humongous, they're projects, and they
Mhm.
could end up being swing tackles. And you can probably say that out of anybody that you're probably taking in the 3rd round at this position. Okay, it's a project. You have to get these guys early. You have to get some of the best talent that's available. This kid's the best talent available. 79.9 true pass set pro.
No.
Campbell is 71.
Hmm.
71.7. I'll give him
That's
the
a big
point.
gap.
He's just better.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. It's got nothing to do with arm length. It's got nothing to do with anything. He's just better.
Banks was not the only pick that Jason made that I thought was a good one, or I thought was at
Hmm.
least intriguing. You take a look here in the second round at number 38,
Love it.
TCU wide receiver Jack Besh. I would absolutely love to see this pick. The third round at number 69, Donovan Jackson.
Yeah.
This is intriguing to me, Murph, and I want to pick your brain about Donovan in just a little bit because a lot of people are saying guard for him because he's a natural guard, but
Right.
played tackle more often than not last year. I think did a pretty good job, and I actually think he did well enough in the combine this week to maybe merit that selection as a tackle. We'll see. We're going to revisit that in just a moment. Round 3, number 77. You want to talk draft crushes? I'm loving me some Gunnar Helm right now, tight end out of Texas.
Yeah.
Claire, I know you got your sharp eye on him. I don't want to infringe upon your territory too much, but he happens to remind me of a certain present Patriots tight end right now
Yeah.
that I think could really pay dividends for New England, especially if Drake May continues his relationship with one Hunter Henry. This guy could be a spare in short order. So we'll revisit that in a moment. Rounding out the Patriots' 4th through the 7th rounds. At number 105 in round 4, Barrett Carter, the linebacker out of Clemson, comes to your New England Patriots. Pat, stay on the defensive side of the ball in round 5 at number 145. Edge rusher R.J. Oben out of Notre Dame. Round 7, 219, a wide receiver out of LSU, Kyron Lacey. This one could
Yeah.
be an eye opener. A
No.
lot of
Yeah.
reasons why it could work, a lot of reasons why it couldn't. We'll get into those in just a moment. And then a couple of familiar names we've seen on boards here so far. Round 7, number 222, another Oregon cornerback, Jabbar Muhammad. I like this pick. I'm starting to
Yeah.
really warm to it in later rounds. And then bringing up the rear, Murph loves it. Michigan running back Donovan Edwards comes to the
Yeah.
Patriots at round 7, number 240. So bottom line, I think Sully has submitted a
Yeah.
solid draft here. Jack Besh is someone obviously who I think captured the hearts of everyone during the Senior Bowl. And for those of you that don't know, 27-year-old Tiger Besh, the older brother of Jack Besh, Princeton Tigers standout, dreamed of playing in the NFL one day. He was among the 14 that were killed in a truck
Right.
attack in New Orleans on New Year's Day that claimed the life of a senseless terrorist attack.
Unbelievable.
And Jack and his brother Tiger were so close. And they shared a bond and a love for football that really is indelible and
Right.
continues to permeate through everything Jack does each and every day on a football field. He dedicated his performance in the Senior Bowl to his brother's memory. Caught a 2-yard touchdown pass with 7 seconds left to give the American team a 22-19 victory. Finished the game with 6 catches, 68 yards,
Yep.
game's MVP. At the combine, he didn't run the 40-yard dash, but
Nope.
he was 14th among receivers in the vertical jump, 34.5 inches, tied for 7th in the broad jump at 10 feet 5 inches. This kid not only has the athletic ability that I think he showed off, and I think he'll continue to show off in his pro days, but Murph, a quickness, route running capabilities, sure hands.
Yeah.
If the Patriots are interested in bringing in a surefire receiver,
Right.
someone that is reliable, Jack Besh got to be on the top of that list.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. This kid just does not drop balls. It does not happen. He runs with a ferocity that I haven't seen in these parts in a very long time, and it's almost Gronkian
Hmm.
the way he attacks the run after the catch. And I love this kid. If you could bring him in here, it would. We're not talking about a number one wide receiver.
Hmm.
That's not what you're getting here. But he's somebody that could be a 1A, a very high 2. I
Hmm.
really love this kid. I would love this pick to happen.
Yeah, I do as well. And again, will the board maneuver around to allow the Pats to be
Right.
able to take someone like a Jack Besh? Murph, before we get into grading this, one name I did want to pick your brain on was Donovan Jackson. tackle out of Ohio State. Now,
Yeah.
we talked about two of the highest profile left tackle prospects in the draft this year at Kelvin Banks Jr. and
Yep.
Will Campbell. Some will tell you Josh Simmons may be the best of the three out of Ohio State. And Murph is
Yep.
nodding his head right now because he's loving
Yeah.
him some Josh Simmons. But
Yeah.
there is an injury history last year. Torres
Right.
patellar tendon, and Donovan Jackson, who played the guard position, stepped in, played the left tackle position pretty well.
Yep.
He played 529 snaps, helping the Buckeyes obviously to a national championship. He surrendered only 2 sacks and 19 pressures,
Right.
playing out of position more often than not. So when you look at what Donovan is able to do, a lot of people have said, well, put him back at his natural position. He's a guard. But
Yep.
some are saying that his performance last year at the tackle position may allow him to be able to be drafted as a tackle. And even though he didn't necessarily look at 100% throughout
Yep.
this entire combine cycle, he was clearly being hampered by something. I don't know what. A lot of the details around it were very cryptic, but he still looked better than most in the drills that he participated in, at least in my estimation. And I really love the way he maneuvered through the mirror drill. For those that were boots on the ground that I spoke to, they said that the way he maneuvered through that mirror drill and the buzz
Yep.
it was causing led a lot of people to believe that this kid will be drafted as a tackle. If you're the New England Patriots, should you be giving a second or maybe even a third look to Donovan Jackson as an option this season?
Oh, without a doubt. The way he seamlessly moved from one spot to the other um, last year, it was so impressive. You don't see that every day at a from a guy that is this young. He didn't do it in high school, able to do it at the college level. I think he would be a fine addition to this offensive line. What he's able to do, he played offensive tackle like a guard, all
Mm,
right, with that mean streak. And I think that's something that we all know Mike Vrabel really loves. He's his punch. We talked about a lack of punch earlier. This guy's initial punch is unworldly. Thunder and lightning claps when he's out there and he gets his hands into somebody. He's got a fantastic lock, and I would love this pick. I
mm,
really would. I would love
yeah.
this pick. Uh, you love position versatility, especially when you're talking about a lack of depth on an offensive line. I think this kid could come in here and play, you know, either guard position. Definitely be a right tackle. I don't know if he could be a left tackle in the league, but he could definitely play right tackle, maybe some swing.
In what I've looked at and watching him go through that mirror drill, I do believe that this kid could be a solid tackle prospect. And at the very least, you got yourself a swing option on the bench to kind of groom into a potential starter. Yeah, this could be a good, intriguing prospect for the New England Patriots in subsequent rounds. Murph, it's great time. When you look at what Jason Sullivan has put out here, we know he's always among our mock draft all stars. What say you? How did he do on this offering, bud?
He did a fantastic job up and down, man. Donovan Jackson in the third. Gunnar Helm in the fourth.
Hmm.
Again, ignore the PFF. I love Gunnar Helm in the fourth round, and Jabbar Muhammad down there. He's somebody that I believe you said earlier is moving up your board. I would love it at 222. Yeah, let's go get it, man. This is an A draft.
Yeah,
This is an A
absolutely.
draft. He hit on so many positions of need. Barrett Carter. This is an A draft. Way to go, Sully.
Absolutely. I'm joining you in your assessment. I'm giving this an A, simply because I love Kelvin Banks Jr. at the top. We've
Yep.
already gushed poetically about Jack Besh. Donovan Jackson, you've given me even more insight than I tried to
Yeah.
develop over the week watching him. And Gunnar Helm, again, we talk about
Right.
someone that is really becoming a draft crush. Everyone who's watched Locked On Patriots, who's been in every day or since the inception, since I took the microphone here on Locked On, knows that I used to cover the Los Angeles Chargers. And
Yeah.
I watched Hunter Henry come in as a young prospect at
Yep.
the tight end position, someone whose athleticism and speed will not wow you as a prospect. But one thing he had the size and the frame to play the position.
Yep.
He had sure hands. He had great football intelligence and
Right.
impeccable route running for an NFL level tight end. This kid checks all those boxes. I really do believe that he is someone that could come in and look at what's going on the field and immediately be able to read it. And that was something that Hunter Henry had. Steve Sarkisian, obviously his coach at Texas, explained that he scored a touchdown earlier last year, and I'm quoting Steve directly on this, by correctly reading an unfamiliar look thrown at him by LSU safeties during this game. That is something that shows impeccable field awareness, and that's
Yep.
also something that shows the mature
Right.
way to run a route as an NFL level prospect. So I thought this was probably an A- cusp draft, but when I really looked at what he was able to do by
Yep.
bringing in Gunner in the 4th round here, that definitely went to an A. So a tip of the cap, Sully. Great
There you go,
job.
Sal.
Bob the Godfather really hitting it out of the park. Murph, we've got 2 drafts now on the books, but guess what, bud? We're not quite done yet. There's one more still left on the table, and this one really intrigued me. A lot of prospects that may have either hurt or helped their cause over the course of the last few days in Indianapolis, and the priority switch of some positions in need might be a little higher up on this board than maybe some of the others that a lot of Pats fans are submitting. I commend this gentleman for his efforts, and we're going to discuss them in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Pats fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots. It is Mock Draft Monday, the first Mock Draft Monday after the Combine. We're not only bringing you some Combine tidbits, but also our mock draft of grades and wisdom and counsel. And who else could provide wisdom and counsel on Mock Draft Monday? The legend himself, Thomas Murphy of DieHardBostonSportsFans.com. Murph, we've already taken a look at 2 intriguing mock drafts, both of which had the Patriots addressing the tackle position right off the bat. This draft that we're about to grade does not deviate from that. However, we've seen some of these drafts go into defensive positions, beef up a little bit more when it comes to the offensive line. In this one, Patriots have actually prioritized the wide receiver position. And one of those selections I thought was absolutely impossible prior to the Combine. The Combine may
Right.
have changed the possibility of this man's draft, and that's why we're choosing Will Lefebvre, who sent in his mock draft by email. And folks, we appreciate you always sending those in by email. It's lockedonpatriots@gmail.com, always open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can send it in there as well. And Will's submission begins with Will Campbell at number 4, top of the heap. However, when you go to pick 38 in the 2nd round, Will is prioritizing the wide receiver position. Luther Burden III, one of the top receiver prospects out there, going to the New England Patriots in the 2nd round. In the 3rd, at number 69, Texas wide receiver Isaiah Bond. Now,
Right.
prior to the Combine, Murph, I would have thought that this was wishful thinking at
Yeah.
its absolute best. Even though Bond comes with his pluses, his minuses, you still look at the speed and you say, no, that's got to be a 2nd round at the absolute worst. But Bond didn't necessarily help him with a tremendous showing in terms of testing at the Combine this week. This is one I want to come back to in a moment, but rolling along in the 3rd round at pick number 77, Harold Fannin Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green. I think his stock may have been a little bit higher pre-Combine. He didn't necessarily have the best week in Indianapolis. That may have hurt him a little bit. Murph, Will does address the offensive line. He certainly does not keep it on the back burner. A name we're quite familiar with here as an offensive tackle. Boston College standout Ozzie Trapilo comes to the Patriots in the 4th round at number 105. In the 5th round at number 145, NC State prospect Anthony Belton continues to rise up boards. At pick number 219 in the 2nd round, Jamon Dumas Johnson, a linebacker out of Kentucky. At number 222 in the 7th round, Trevor Etienne, a favorite of Murph, the running back out of Georgia. I think this kid's going to go higher than this. He's starting to climb draft boards, but if he's there in the 7th round, you take him with both hands.
Oh, yeah.
And another wide receiver for the New England Patriots to add to the mix, Elijah Badger, coming in at number 240, 7th round, a wide receiver out of Florida. Murph, obviously we've said all we said I think that we need to say about Will Campbell, but wanted to pick your brain a little bit on Luther Burden and Isaiah Bond, because both of these gentlemen are high-profile receivers in this draft. I think one helped his cause. I think one may have hurt his cause a little bit. I think Burden had the overall better week in the Combine.
Oh, yeah.
There's an argument to be made that he may actually be a smarter pick earlier on in the draft than Bond, and I probably wouldn't have said that a week ago. When you look at their combine performances and you look at the skill sets both of these guys bring to the table, first of all, who would be your pick in the second round? And if you are going to go wide receiver, which is the smarter one for the Patriots?
Yeah, it's Burden. You want to talk about separation and the fact that we're tired of hearing about contested catch guys. Catch guys are contested catch guys because they can't get separation.
Mhm.
Okay, that's why this kid is a burner and a half, man. He creates instant separation with his first step off the line. I love his hands. He just plucks the ball out of the air like few guys. The way he tracks a ball downfield, Drake May is going to love this kid, and
Mhm.
so are the rest of you if you haven't seen him. Burden is the picket too. Bond is just he's falling. There's
Mhm.
nothing else to say right now. He was solidly a second round pick, maybe even a end of the first round if you listen to some people out there. Not me, but some people out there. And no, Burden's the man. I love Luther Burden the third. I would definitely grab him as soon as day two started.
The more the merrier. The help wanted sign is up on that
Yeah,
wide receivers room. So they're going to try to bring in as many prospects as they can. And who better to kind of cultivate that group than Josh McDaniels? To round out the mix, obviously, Harold Fannin Jr., Ozzie Trapilo, Anthony
yep,
Belton, Jamon Dumas Johnson, Trevor Etienne, Elijah Badger. I know you've spoken very glowingly about Etienne, Murph, but
yeah.
who among this group and Will's mock draft here kind of caught your eye as you were looking to grade this haul?
Anthony Belton out of North Carolina State. Steve's probably going to love that pick. Jamon Dumas Johnson is a fine project. I don't think he has the requisite speed right now, but he's got the body type to come in and be a good run stuffer, somebody that you would like to see in this 3-4 system that's being brought in and implemented. I thought that was a nice pick there.
I mean, this would be another offensive heavy draft, but again, a different perspective. And I think a lot of Patriots fans are looking at the needs on offense and saying, maybe we need to go heavy on offense another round. I think there's too much defensive talent to lay off of it completely or just address it in one shot. So
Right.
there we go, Murph. It's grade time. You're looking at Will LeFavor's haul here. How would you grade his performance? How would you grade his evaluation in this draft?
Well, without a doubt, man, this is a an A minus draft. It could have been an A plus draft. Isaiah Bond kind of killed that for him.
Mhm.
It was good work though. I liked Harold Fanning Jr. Of course, we love Ozzie, and we all know how I feel about Trevor Etienne. I want him on the New England Patriots. If he's there at in the seventh round and the Patriots don't take him, I riot.
We don't want to have Murph Riot, folks. We
Yeah.
absolutely
No.
cannot
No.
have that. So I'm giving this a solid B plus. Again, the
Okay.
Bond pick right now. I'm not sure if he's going to fluctuate that low to the third round. I think that might be a little bit too far of a free fall. But at the same time, if presented with either Burden or Bond at this point, yeah, I'm going to go Luther Burden. Will, thank you so much for your submission.
Really.
We are so happy with the three that we chose to share with all of you this week. So many submissions that Murph and I could barely wade through them all. Keep them coming in because if something catches our sharp eye, we are definitely more than happy to share the great work that you put such time and effort into submitting here so that way we can evaluate and grade your selections. Bud, what can I say? Once again, along for the ride. You were impeccable in your analysis today. Before I let you go, please let everyone know where they can reach out to you, interact with you, what you got marinating in Murph's kitchen throughout the rest of the week.
Yeah, come check me out on Zitter at TMurph207S and over where the skies are blue at TMurph207. And I'm looking forward to you guys throw a question at me. I'm happy to answer it. Please keep these submissions coming in.
Folks, thank you all for being everydayers of Locked On Patriots, for joining us occasionally, or if you're joining us for the first time. We hope that you stay locked into Locked On Patriots because so much is on the docket and the best is yet to come. In the meantime, I'm Mike Debate, and on behalf of my good friend Thomas Murphy, we remind you all to stay safe, to stay well, to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.